Hi there. Welcome to my channel. My name's Margaret, and you are on BookTube, which is a cozy corner of the web where apparently my earrings are blurred with the background, and I've got a mug of hot cocoa that should last me through the tag. We'll see. It's warm. We'll see if it stays warm. I just heard of something called a mug warmer in someone's sprint in Katrina Eames' sprint this morning, and I thought, why I never heard of a mug warmer before? Am I totally out of it? I don't know. Anyway, today we're doing the reading goals book tag. I definitely have put up thoughts about reading goals for this year before, but this book tag by Rosie Cockshut is about how you decide your reading goals. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today. Thank you so much, Rosie, for tagging me. Rosie Cockshut is a lovely channel. Please go over there and support it, subscribe. I like best teasing Rosie about our Lord of the Rings shared fandom. So if that is where you are in life, join us. Join the fandom. So I'm just going to do one upcoming attraction today, which is a super fun event next Sunday. So as it's Tag Tuesday today, what you have for next Sunday is Patreon book chat. So every other month I have a book club, and every other month I have a Patreon book chat. So Denny S. Bryce is going to be my guest next Sunday. She has written Wild Woman and the Blues, which I read and loved and put up a standalone book review for. And she's coming out in April with In the Face of the Sun. These are both dual timeline historical fictions. And Wild Woman and the Blues is the 1920s and present day. And In the Face of the Sun is 1920s and 1968. And that is one hot summer if you are a fan of history. So I hope you're there for that and you get to ask some questions of Jenny, because she is a resource. She has so many different roles she's played and so many things that I'm sure we could learn from her research. I'm very excited about that next Sunday. Hey, Marilyn's here. Hello. Thanks for stopping by, Marilyn. Aloha. I know I changed the time for this from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. to see if it would, be a different audience. And it is, because Marilyn's here. You usually catch it on the replay. So glad to see you here live. Okay. So Rosie's tag. First question is, tag some friends. So how do you make your reading goals? And I've got 10 people because this is an original tag by Rosie, and I figured the more the merrier. So I have just discovered Iris Messenger's channel. I want to have Iris do this tag. Chrissy at The Return Cart. Amy at A Star Reads. Aoife at Words of Clover. Cynthia at Book Whimsy. Jackie at Jackie Reads and Writes. Brittany at Literarily Smitten. Kazan at Always Doing. Kim at Native Lady Book Warrior. And Angela at Literature Science Alliance. So these are all people that I know think about books and reading goals and all that. And so they probably have interesting findings about how they come up with those goals and refine them and all that stuff. So on to question number 2. Do you have reading goals? Why or why not? And what I put down for this answer, my little cheat sheet here, is that another Lord of the Rings reference, when all hope is gone, referring to the light of Arendelle. When all hope is gone, when you're feeling crappy, when you're not getting your life goals done, you know what you can do and succeed with? Reading goals. So I do have reading goals because it's always something to fall back on to make me feel accomplished. I have looked at that sometimes and thought, I think this is making me feel too comfortable. The fact that I can read books and accomplish that goal, and I'm feeling self-satisfied about it, and maybe I should get off my duff and do some more stuff with some of my other life goals. But on the whole, I think it's nice to have reading goals that you can check off if you're that type of person who likes to check off things from a list. So question 3, There it is. Are your goals things that you absolutely aim to complete, or more general themes you want to focus on? So are they SMART goals or are they more general themes? And SMART goals, if of course, are super magic, animalistic. Just kidding. They're goals that are specific, measured, something, something, something. And that is not how I make goals. I learned that a long time ago in a life of a long universe away, and I don't make goals like that anymore. My goals are all general themes that I'm focusing on. So yeah, big picture. Lady Jane Books is here. Hey Jane. I love checking off reading goals. Excellent. Right? Sense of accomplishment. If you can't control anything else in your life, books are there to be your friend. Question number 4: when do you set your goals? So I said normally December and January, but just like when you move furniture around or need to reorganize your books, every so often you just feel like you need to recalibrate. And so sometimes it's precisely when it needs to be changed. And so that can happen anytime during the year. Question number 5: do you have long-standing goals, or are your goals long-standing? That you aim for every year? If yes, what are they? Um, so yes, I actually recently looked at my Goodreads goals of the past because someone did a How Have I Changed as a Reader video, and I thought that was interesting. So I looked at my past reading goals and I realized in 2020, that was the year that I set my highest reading goal, which is just a flat number, 144, and I did make it. And 2021 is the year that I said, I'm not going to do Goodreads anymore. So I'm going to go over to the story graph, which is a question later. And I ended up reading 144 books this past year in 2021. So I just thought that was kind of funny. But yeah, so my long-standing goal since 2014 to track has always been just like a number of books a year. If you can see it digitally, you can make it happen. So that's not very specific. It's just, I don't know, to be able to say you read so many books. I think before 2014, before I was on Goodreads, it was more a matter of hearing about books that people thought were good and reading those. And you didn't track them. And imagine this life. You didn't track how many books you read. You didn't track where you got them from. You didn't track how much you spent on them. You didn't track how fast you read. Like crazy, right? So, yeah, when I first signed up to Goodreads, I remember trying to remember childhood favorites and put those in and be like, I don't know when I read this, 1996? And for all y'all who weren't even born yet in 1996, keep reading. Okay, so that's for long-standing goals. Besides just a number for the year, the other thing I'm paying attention to these days is diversifying my reading. So that means not only by genre, but also by author's background. So in my previous reading goals book, I had a spreadsheet. Let me pop that up again. Here we go. So this is the new thing for 2022, which is that I'm going to have sort of a monthly framework to try to diversify based on several aspects, or not gradients, whatever the word is. Maybe you'll tell me in the comments. So a research book, because as a writer, I'm constantly researching and sometimes I let it fall off the stack. So a research book every month. An ebook. I really don't like ebooks, but I think in the diversity, this helps me keep one going when I'm listening and reading a physical book. An audiobook, because I love Libro.fm. I can always have one of those for when I'm going on walks. And another axis, I guess, is whether the person is a BIPOC author, which is good to get other experiences in the mix. Right now, I'm listening to Zerlina Maxwell's book, The End of White Politics, and she's championing the idea that you should have different lived experiences in your politics and represented in your political body, and I think that's important. Still grappling with some of the questions she's raised, but that is her political view taken into my book reading goal, which I thought was kind of fun. I've got a nonfiction a month, which is not hard because I read plenty of nonfiction for research and other interests, and an indie pub. And that has been a new addition that Joe of Go Indie Now brought to my attention, that I'm not reading as many indie pub books on BookTube as I could. And so I think in March, maybe we're going to be doing a swap each other's favorite or recommended indie pub. And so that should be fun. And then in the middle there, I've got owned TBR. I want it to be at least 2/3 of the month's reading to be stuff I already had. So that's usually true. But we drift and we get off the straight and narrow path of virtue and acquire more books somehow. Somehow it happens. I don't know. Does that happen to you? So so that is the other long-standing goal, is to diversify, and that spreadsheet is how I'm aiming to do it in 2022. That is Broad Street. Yes, traffic. All right, question 6. What type of goal is most successful? What's the actual wording? What type of goal has been the most successful by whatever metric you chose in the past? Okay, so I put down the number and diversifying, because every year until 2020, I had met the, ever inching higher goal of books. I'm nowhere near people who do this for a living, so I'm not reading 200 or 300 books like Beautifully Bookish Bethany, but I am getting over 100, and I think that's pretty good. So the number goal, the diversifying goal, I'm definitely reading a lot of books that I had never even heard of before. So part of that is because I've got more exposure being on BookTube and following different booktubers. And some of those I follow just to hear different viewpoints, and some of them I follow because they're great at reviewing. So there's all sorts of different reasons why I listen to people's recommendations, as well as read the books that I choose to read. So it can get murky and muddled in there, but eventually I'm aiming to read more diverse books, and that is happening. So that's good. Question number 7, what type of goal has not gone to plan? So classics. I will tell you right now, it's classics. I've read a Margaret Atwood, Oryx and Crake, that I did not like. I had to I didn't hate read it, but I torture read it. I really didn't like reading it. It felt icky. Thomas Hardy, I read The Woodlanders as a buddy read, and it was okay, but it was what was the word I'd use to describe it? Like the shiny seat of a very worn-in pair of pants. It didn't feel very crisp. It didn't feel very new or original. Of course, it's a classic, but it also didn't feel like, I don't know, it was all it could be. And then the last one was Jerome K. Jerome. I was so excited to read 3 Men in a Boat, and then if you watched my video about that one a few months ago for Victober, that was not an enjoyable experience either. So some of the classics have not done me well, and I'm not going to be choosing them anytime soon. So you live and you learn. Marilyn says, I try to read mostly women's books because I feel we have been so underrepresented or unrepresented for so long. Plus, I seem to enjoy them more lately. Yes, I just saw your video about the Barbara Pym book, Jane and Prudence, and I actually have a copy of that book in my owned TBR back home. Unfortunately, it's written in the 1950s, and so it just barely doesn't hit my May of the Moderns thing, or otherwise I would have put it in. It's in there in spirit, but it's not by the date, so I can't in good conscience include it. But if you want to do the next readathon from the 50s to 1980, I mean, there's got to be a lot of gold in there in terms of underrepresented women's voices. So, hey, there's an idea. All right, question 8. Do you change your goals based on the last reading year? And I certainly do. I put realistic and practical. So, yeah, basically, like, I didn't like the classics that I was reading, so I'm gonna steer away from those for a while. We'll see how I do with the spreadsheet for every month trying to tick a box, or whether it's gonna be more in April, I'll focus on this, or in May, I'll focus on this. We'll see. I think it might be easier for me to spread it out. So, yeah, basically, you just have to experiment. It's basically riffing on my publishing strategy, which was every time you publish a book, try something new, or two or three, not so many that you get overwhelmed, but enough that you're seeing if it works and then seeing if you want to go on with it or throw it out the window. So, same thing with reading goals, really. Question 9, how do you track? So, do you track and how? So, I have a little show and tell here. Last year, my planner, I did it upside down and in the back, and this is what it looked like. I gave it a 2-page spread. I had the month, I did stickers, and I gave each entry 3 lines, and that would help me count which books I read in which month and what the author was. So I used this when I was doing my videos like this, my my wrap-ups. But I did end up with a bunch of blank pages in between the forward and the backward. The reading pages didn't take up that much space, so now I've got unused pages, which I'm trying to use up in the old planner. So for this one, I am incorporating it in the forward page, moving pages of the planner, if that makes sense. So instead of like flipping it over and starting, I'm incorporating it in each month. And so I've got like StreamYard strikes again. I've got a month thing, and then before it says books read in that month. And so I'm only giving 2 lines because I think the most I've read is 21 books in a month. And I think I can probably fit all the books in that. And if not, I'll have to figure out a different solution. But for now, it's going to be the page before the month spread with a pretty graphic. So that's the new idea. And I try to, whatever's closest. If it's my phone, I'll put it on Storygraph, which is a digital app. If it's my planner, I'll put it in my planner and writing. So those are really the 2 places, a physical place and a digital place. The Storygraph, this prepped to show you guys. Storygraph app is just, here's my very top secret phone over here. So it opens up a browser window and basically acts like something in a browser. So I just update what it shows me on my homepage. See if it'll focus. This is what Kim does. I don't think it's helping. Anyway, yeah, so I just update on the app, or I have been updating progress recently. Usually I just do it when I'm finished, but because I've been so slow reading lately, I had to update somehow. So I said I'm on this page number of this book, so it would look like I was actually making some progress. So that's how I track on Storygraph digitally, and in my planner physically. Oh, Shannon's here. Shannon stopped by. She says, just got home from working at the liquor store. Hope you're well. Yes, thank you, Shannon. Made friends with the like button. Much appreciated. Oh, and if you've gotten this far and we're almost done and you haven't, please like or subscribe or share or what have you. I appreciate it. Last question, number 10, is have your goals, let's see the exact wording. Has any of this changed a lot over the course of your reading life? And this is, I think, where I was interested in looking at the Goodreads challenges video. I think it was Joanna, which is a huge booktuber who I'd never heard of before this week. And, oh, it's time to test. It's still warm, so we're good with the hot cocoa. I know, Shannon, it's killing me. 13 more freaking subs to 500. It's like, eek, eek, eek. Inch by nail pulling inch, we will get there. So has it changed over my reading life? And as I was kind of saying before, like before 2014, when we didn't track anything, it was like the Eden before we made everything trackable. I would say reading was for pure enjoyment. I acquired books, I read them, I acquired books, they sat on the shelf, what have you. But it was, I would fold down pages, I would highlight. I never did anything like, well, no, actually I did. In high school, I would copy out quotes and put them on pretty paper and put them on my binder, but I haven't done that in a long time. But I still have those, and I occasionally decorate my room with them if that's not nerd central. But having evolved from reading for pure enjoyment, I would say I'm much more critical now. Having read a lot of books, having written my own books, I feel like I can see better into the mechanics. I still don't really see the structure, like the skeletal structure of a book, like some people do. I think it's kind of like if you're a visual person or if you're a audio person, like some people can look at a story and go, oh, this is act one, this is the inciting incident, this is act two, this is the, my brain doesn't do that. So more critical reading. And I know my own preferences better, but I am careful not to let that become something that I only read what I like and have it be the same thing. So from the other viewpoint, from the writer viewpoint, what you hear in marketing or trends is that what you want to do is give people the same thing that they already like, but make it different. So give them the same thing, but with a twist. So on the reader side, I want to be conscious enough not to fall into that trap, because that's just to make money. I mean, that's part of the goal, but that's not the whole goal. So I want to be challenging myself so that like I'm pushing out the boundaries of what I'm comfortable with and what I appreciate and want more of, and never get sort of settled into a silo. So happy medium, you know? So that's that. And yeah, that's the tag. That's it. That's the tweet. I'm very excited to be so close to 500. We'll see. Marilyn says, oh, I thought Jane and Prudence was written in 1950, but it was 1953. Darn. Yeah, it's so close. May of the Moderns is going to be up to 1945 anyway. So like I said, if you want to do the next readathon period, it's open. We can have Victober, Moderns, and then I don't know what you would call it. I don't really like postmodern, but maybe it could be post-war palooza or something like that. That could still work, and then it could be around the world. But anyway, yep. Shannon asking if I'm going to do anything special for the 500 mark. Good question. Seeing as how I normally go up about 3 or 4 subscribers a week, I have a month to decide this. But yeah, not coming in the top priority for the next week because I'm driving to Sacramento, packing again, driving to Portland, settling back in. So for the next week, I have no plans on that kind of thing. But yeah, you know what I do have a plan for? Having a really awesome guest next Sunday, fellow historical fiction author and fellow Mighty Blazer, Denny S. Bryce, is going to be here to talk about her upcoming book, In the Face of the Sun. She talks about the civil rights movement, but also maybe Wild Woman in the Blues, which I read last spring, I guess. And it was super, super, what's the word when you're immersive? Yeah. I was really into it and I want more of that, but of course she's not going to write a sequel. So yeah, so that is next Sunday at 11 a.m., 2 p.m. Eastern. And if you want to show up and ask some good questions, Denny is going to be a fabulous guest and I'm very excited. Shannon's asking, have you heard of Pete English Literature YouTube channel? Yes, he's a booktuber, but also published poetry. He might fit in with the Black Author Tuber Readathon. That's a good thought. Yes. I think is it Patrick? Patrick. I think it's Patrick. I watched a video or two of his, and yeah, he's very sweet. So I should put that in. Shannon says he just found my channel and I looked up his. Yep. Marilyn says, yes, aloha. Yay. Cool. Well, it is a shorter one today for this original tag by Rosie Cockshett. And just in case you weren't here at the beginning, I'm tagging 10 people because this is an original tag and I'm the first layer. So I want to make sure to get it out to many people. It's Iris Messenger, Chrissy at the Return Cart, Amy at A-Star Reads, Aoife at Words of Clover, Cynthia at Book Whimsy, who just gave me a shout out for Best Historical Fiction Reads of 2021. Thank you, Cynthia. Angela at Literature Science Alliance, Kim at Native Lady Book Warrior, Cousin at Always Doing, Brittany at Literally Smitten, and Jackie at Jackie Reads and Writes. So there we go. I'm doing my best to push that tag out into the world. And happy Tuesday, guys. Happy Tag Tuesday. And I hope you have a great week. I will see you all again soon. Maybe Friday, maybe Sunday. Till then, stay safe and happy reading. Hey, Mama Maggie. Thanks for stopping in. Hit that like button and I'll see you again soon. Bye.